As a Baptist minister, I used to teach that that communion was symbolic, and that was what was taught to me. And so entering the Catholic Church, one of the biggest challenges for me was understanding this concept that the Eucharist is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus. Like, how does that happen? And I was really struggling to understand it. And this was the final hurdle for me. This was the one where I was like, I've got to get this, because if I don't get this, I can't become Catholic, because this is the source and summit of the Christian faith. So I'm really working through it, and I happened to be at a Bible study with some former evangelical friends that we used to go to church with. And we were studying 1 Samuel chapters 4-6, where the Philistines steal the Ark of the Covenant. And it's a crazy story about they put it in their temple to the god Dagon, and the next day Dagon's laying prostrate in front of the ark, and the next day his hands and his head are cut off, and then people in the Philistines start getting tumors, and then they start playing hot potato with the Ark of the Covenant, like, I don't want it, we're sending it over here to this neighboring city. And finally someone had the sense to, like, okay, we're getting rid of this thing. They sent it back on a cart to Israel, and then the Israelites throw this big party, and then a bunch of people decide to open it up that night, and they're all struck dead, like a scene from Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know. And someone in the Bible study asked this question. She said, is the Ark God, or is it a symbol? And I was like, I'd never thought about that. Is it God, or is it a symbol? And from my evangelical background, this is a very evangelical question. It's either God or it's a symbol. And I started just kind of mulling that over, and I'm like, well, it can't be just a symbol, because symbols don't make people sick. Symbols don't kill people. And then I immediately thought of something Paul said in 1 Corinthians 10, where he's talking to the church at Corinth, and he's telling them, you know, some of you are not discerning the body and blood of Jesus in communion. And for this reason, many of you have fallen sick, and some of you have even fallen asleep. And I'm like, symbols don't kill people. They don't make people sick. And I was like, the Eucharist is not a symbol. It's more than a symbol. And that day really opened my mind to understanding the sacramental worldview of Catholicism, because up until then I thought the Catholic faith was boring and stale, and I didn't understand the whole routine of sit, stand, kneel, and the very structured liturgy. And that day I was like, oh my goodness, this is like Narnia. This is like walking into the wardrobe. This is like the high priest going behind the curtain into the Holy of Holies in front of the Ark. And that day was the day I realized Catholicism isn't the most stale or boring religion. I had it all wrong. It's the wildest.